I've been thinking for a long time about talking about chronic illness, and I decided this morning that when I was doing my videos for today that I would talk about that today as well as sort of the positive thing. So I've struggled with chronic illness. I've had something called neuropathy, but the doctors called it idiopathic neuropathy, and idiopathy or idiopathic means I don't know. It turns out that 60% of neuropathy, the doctors of at least the MD world in the United States, they don't know what caused it. I had every kind of test. I didn't have anything that they could do. Of course, they're all blood tests. And it started 6 years ago. So that was in April of 2018. I began to notice that I was having problems, especially in the morning. And yeah, I had other problems like edema. I wasn't really overweight. I mean, I was overweight. I wasn't like ridiculously overweight, but I was sort of at the top edge of probably a little more. Let me be honest, I've lost weight since then. And I've got probably another 20 pounds to go before I think I'll be at the healthiest level. And that's really important context because, everyone's looking, everyone's trying. I tried chiropractors and acupuncturists, and everyone assured me that, as usual, I mean, everyone always tells you that their method is the thing that will cure you. Well, nothing worked. And I tried different kinds of foods. I tried every kind of supplement. I was looking for anything that would give me any indication that I was on the right track even. And, I'm a very active person. I love walking, bicycling, hiking, dancing. So, to see the most basic ability to walk just kind of start drifting away, and then I'd get on the bicycle and that was okay, but getting off the bike, my balance was pretty bad. And nothing really bad happened, like I didn't have any falls or anything like that. But just with everything I tried, it just kept on getting progressively more and more of a problem. And 2 years ago, I was able to get myself in a situation where I actually didn't need to work at all if I wanted to have a low-key life. And, for me and all the risks I've taken in my life, that was such a relief. And so I had kind of, even when I got to where I am now, I love where I am. And I love, the freedom it's given me to create. That's actually why I teach the Make My Nut program, because I want people to have that freedom, that kind of security without necessarily having to wait to get old, and get a pension or anything like that. And so I started thinking, okay, I don't know what's really wrong with me, and the doctors don't know either. Like, no one has really given me anything that works. So now what? And because of the kind of processes we're talking about, somehow it just hit me. It's like, well, just heal something. Like, just get started on anything. It doesn't really matter. And I kind of got the idea that the way my feet felt was some kind of amalgamation of everything that was wrong in my life. So it became kind of a game. It became a game of like, could I fix something? And what should I fix next? So that was such an interesting decision that I made. And then I just got started. And the first thing I noticed, like, I'd had terrible digestion most of my life. I mean, certainly since I was in my 20s. It never really got better. And then finally, like, it was literally 2001, I said, I've got to heal this. And I began to get a few clues. I had somehow there was no YouTube, and the people who knew what to do, I had never found or heard of them. Now it's not so hard to find people who can tell you what to do, but yeah, I found a little ebook, and it gave me some hints. It said, like, for example, fresh orange juice will make your body more basic, but pasteurized orange juice will make your body more acidic. And certainly being acidic was the problem, because I had they used to call it acid reflux. Now they call it GERD, more fancy term, but acid reflux is like in the middle of the night, I'd wake up choking on acid and just wondering if I was going to even survive. I can't tell you how many times that happened. But in 2016, the science and the information kind of came together for me, and I cut out eating all animal products, and I started hydrating better, and I cut out eating oils. I could see that was something that was really triggering. And bit by bit, it took many years to heal. I could see it was healing. By 2018, I realized, so the 2 years into this, I realized I would heal. I wasn't completely healed, but I could see that it was going to work. And so when I got to where I am now, I still had some digestive problems, especially like at night. If I ate like rice, then I would feel that kind of acidic feeling, especially if I was going to go to bed soon. And I thought, let me heal that. So I just put all my attention on really looking and seeing, okay, if I eat this kind of food, how does that make me feel immediately? And I for a long time, I wasn't eating any rice or any of those things, mostly raw foods, not all. And then I could see bit by bit that I was healing to a whole new level. And I probably have more to go, and people say it takes 7 years to replace your cells. So that was a long process. So that got better. And then I noticed that I like to do different kinds of body work, that would make me feel better, at least in the moment or longer. And even when I first started doing that years ago, and I just thought, why don't I do this every day? It makes you feel, I was doing Qigong or yoga. It made me feel so good. And it's like, well, why didn't I do it every day? Like, what's wrong with me? It's like, this is supposed to help, and you're doing something else instead of the thing that makes you feel better. And so, I've done a lot of inner work, you could say. I mean, I started that in 1999, the discovery of the beauty of that and the power of that. But it's not always that fun. I think I've said this before. It's just, I was really looking at the idea of being healthy, and I wrote down a couple different, you can do it in a different way, but I just wrote down, I allow myself to be healthy, or I wrote down, I am healthy, and then and there was more to it than just that, but this is you can do this. This is a good starter. And then the mind will have commentary on that goal. And we've talked about goal attainment. Our minds have negative commentary when we set a goal. That's why people don't do it. So I laid out those kind of affirmations or goals and listened to what my mind had to say. And it was really not nice, It was really and it's like, wow, where did this come from? But it was a really strong negative feeling. I began to really realize, like, our thoughts, those kind of thoughts can cause pain, and maybe they're suppressed and they're just sort of percolating down there in the subconscious, but they're just running a pain production program. So I was starting to look, like, what are all the sources of pain in the body? And the big source is painful thoughts and feelings. So I worked on that just in relation to my body for a year. And what was interesting, though, is that as I was essentially releasing and letting those pattern thoughts leave my system and healing from whatever caused it, it doesn't really matter. I didn't go back in time and try to figure anything out. It's just when something would bubble up, I would just let it go, because often we actually are in the habit of holding down our thoughts. and our feelings because we don't like to feel them. I mean, look, it felt lousy, except when it left, then I would feel great. So doing that over and over again, and sometimes I would skip a lot of days because it was like almost exhausting. I don't want to scare you from doing this, but you know, it does take some courage just to look, even though there's no harm in it. There's really no risk in looking, but it's annoying at minimum, you know? And sometimes, you know, have a good cry or something, and then the thing goes away. And at least that variation on it, the flavor of it. And so anyway, what did I see? It's like, oh, no wonder I don't do the things that make my body better. Because my mind is saying, you don't deserve to live. It's not worth the effort. Nothing works anyway. You know, what's the point? So just like that internal thing that keeps us from touching a hot stove, somewhere in my survival mechanism was all this junk. In fact, my old teacher, he used to say, he said, people ask me if I read minds. And I say no for two reasons. One, common courtesy. And two, who wants to look at all that junk? And, you know, so right. You've got to do your own looking. Like nobody's going to really do it for you. So I looked. And as that came out, suddenly I saw, oh, I've got a little more time to take care of myself. I'm able to maintain a routine of doing the thing that makes me feel the best. And so suddenly I was getting more and more power over my life, and I was feeling better. So another thing was my spine. And I'd had problems with my back off and on for years. It was probably from playing football when I was in ninth grade. If you listen to this, don't play football. That's the stupidest thing you can do for your body. And, you know, it just creates a lifetime of suffering. All of that, you know, all of that kind of beating up on your body is just really damaging. But I wanted to fit in, right? I probably didn't care that much about football, but I think I felt like if I didn't play, people would think I was some kind of, you know, pussy. That's what, I mean, when you're in ninth grade, that's what you're thinking of, right? You're trying to pretend you're some kind of a dude. Like you're the man, right? And so you put on this stupid uniform and go, like I practically broke my back on the field. Some guy pushed my head almost to my knees, and I just felt my lower back just going, eh. Another couple inches, it probably would have snapped, man. And I still played. That's how stupid I was. I mean, you're taking coaching from me. I'm sorry, I'm kind of an idiot. But at least I can help you probably. Like we all think we're stupid. That's part of the program. Somehow it's part of the deck. It's why we're designed like this. Well, we think we're stupid because the goal is to be smart. And the mind's saying, be smart, you know, don't be stupid, be smart. That's survival. It has nothing to do with the quality of your life really at all. And it's usually just a lot of noise. So as I did the inner work, suddenly I found the mix. Now I was able to spend more and more time directly healing my body. And I, you know, good fortune gave me access to some videos. There's a guy named Matt Hsu. He's got a channel called Upright Health. And he had different courses. One was called the Back Pain Fix and the Foot Pain Fix. And what was the one about the neck? I don't think it was called Neck Pain Fix, but he's got one for restoring your posture. And I started doing them. And the thing is, they're so effective. You can tell when something really works. Usually you can tell on the very first day that you're on the right track. And so, it's called the Hunchback Fix. That's the one I started. It's like, God, this works really well. I wonder if he has anything else. Because I've got pain in my upper back. I've got pain in my lower back. And sure enough, he had a course called the Back Pain Fix. And that became like the most important thing in my day. And I did that for about 6 months. And it really changed that part. So, you know, now we're, you know, but then there was, you know, okay, one day I started noticing that like, well, my body's feeling better. I live in this beautiful city. I'm walking down the street and I'm grouchy. Like, what's that about? And I thought, well, that's something that's not going to be helping me heal. So I took a month and just focused on practices for being happy that I have. Like, it's like, look, Mark, you know what to do. Why don't you just frickin' do it? So I did. I committed to doing that for a month. And after that, I've been pretty happy most of the time since then. A good friend of mine, he helped me with something. He said, sometimes it's like, look and see, do you really want to be alive? And I'll say, that was very a foundational bit of guidance. And I looked, it's like, wow, do I really want to live? Because sometimes when we're sick and we don't feel good, and it's like, it would just be easier to be dead. Like, why am I waking up? What's the point of that? That's a kind of a apathetic feeling. And as the teacher Osho said, most of us don't have the courage to actually kill ourselves. If you're thinking about doing that, please don't, because on the other side of those feelings is just something really beautiful. That's really, in a way, what you were born here to experience. So if you're having those kind of thoughts, I was always low key when it came to that. It's like, yeah, I could hear the words in my head, but I knew I wouldn't follow through. I'm too big of a wuss to actually take any meaningful action toward ending my life. And I knew that about myself, so I felt safe. It's like, it's just some noise I'm listening to, but it's annoying and it's not helping, so let's clean that up. So there was that. And then there, and I kind of, I'd been spending money on different doctors and healers and therapies and this and that. And there's this woman in town, and she kept on saying, Mark, let me work on you. I know I can help you. And this is a year ago, and I was really thinking I wouldn't be able to walk at all. So we're talking about October of 2023, and my son was going to come and visit me. I think, God, by the time he gets here, I'm just going to be sitting in bed. Like, that's going to be my life. And she kept on saying, Mark, let me work. She said, I'll work on you for free. I just want to show you. And I thought, she's my friend, and I don't know, what if I don't like it? It'll be embarrassing. But the thing is, by this point, because I had been loving myself and increasing my self-love, I could hear something about her that she wasn't saying directly, but I could just hear that she was an incredibly loving person and that she was able to somehow convey that kind of energy. And I think a lot of times when we go to doctors, what they're really doing is we're trying to get that loving energy from someone else. But at least I could hear that. I thought, you know what? It's worth the risk. And I went there, and she started doing things I'd never seen or heard of before, because she'd invented her whole technique on her own, purely intuitively. And I asked her, it's like, where did you learn this? She said, I didn't really learn it. And she said, I'd been in massage school, but my hands started talking to me and telling me what to do. And so they didn't teach me that in school. She said, I don't know if I could teach anybody else how to do it. It's just, that's what I do. My hands just tell me where to go. And I press on things. And I release energy blocks, whether they're, psychological, emotional, or actual physical blockages, like physical impediments to the flow of, lymph or blood, or, tightness in the muscles. And, we had this great relationship. I worked with her for about 2 months, and then we kind of gone as far as she felt she could go, but I was walking again. And by the time my son got here, it wasn't great, but I was really able to participate. And I could see that there was a path forward to being able to walk. Walking has many components, a lot of balance, so much had to do with my lower back, and that I could see. But so then what happened? Then I got to the point, and my point is just, I was just listening for what's next. Like, what's going to bring me the most joy? Is there some kind of pain that I can fix? And so, in my feet, I had a combination of pain and numbness. And I thought to myself, well, at least what if we just could, reduce the pain? Like, that would be a good first step. Maybe the numbness will heal itself too. But, I was getting pretty adept at pain, looking at it and coming up with ways to heal it. And, the pain would I could see that it had its root in my lower back, but I wasn't completely sure. Because, nerves are funny things. But also I think nerves, I was told, I'm not a doctor, and none of this is medical advice, just in case you're wondering. But I'm much better at working with doctors. I have so much more discernment, that kind of discernment that allowed me to work with this woman and get so much out of it. To be able to make that decision. And you can't really do it from the mind. The mind isn't really intelligent enough to decide what's going to work. A lot of the times, it depends. But when it comes to stuff that nobody knows how to fix, and then you're saying, well, let somebody else work on me. Like, why? Why spend more money was part of the things. Like, well, I just saved my money. But there it's like, okay, I'm going to take the risk of the relationship, of the money, and the whole thing. So anyway, I was thinking about that. And I was watching YouTubes about hiking and exercises for hiking. And somewhere along the line, I saw a whole bunch of people who were talking about the benefits of walking 10,000 steps a day. And, it's a big commitment. In fact, somebody had done 20,000 steps a day for a month. I'm not sure I'm ever going to commit to that as a daily practice, but, that was an all-day project for her. But a lot of them said that their posture improved. And I've had, I was doing the Hunchback Fix work, and I just got to stretch right now because I'm doing too much video work. But so many said that their posture had improved. I thought, all right, well, and it didn't really seem logical because it wasn't easy. It seemed kind of like, well, shouldn't I rest and let all this stuff heal? But I thought movement is good. And I got started. And, I started slowly in June. Then I picked up the pace in July. In August, I walked, well over 310,000 steps. So, way more than 10,000 steps a day on average. And then in September, I got to where I got a perfect score, which took a lot of doing. But the thing is that I noticed that maybe 10 or 20 minutes in, my upper back would be hurting. So I just would pull my upper back, and doing that 2 or 3 hours a day just really fixed my posture a lot. It's really great. Like if I'm sitting at a desk or sitting with a group of people, I'm not like, kind of falling over for lack of musculature in that area. That what we might call bad posture, what it really is kind of overstretched and weak muscles in our upper back. And they're not the big muscles, they're these little muscles called they're called the intercostal muscles or something like that. Actually, I don't think that's the right word, but you can look it up. But there's little muscles that control the position of every vertebrae in your body. And we very rarely do focused work on those little tiny muscles. Everyone's in the gym trying to get big pecs and stuff like that. Not me, of course, I don't care about that stuff. I should, but I don't. So there was that. There was another thing. There was another guy in town who I had heard of, but it just kind of freaked me out. Basically, they take your blood out and then they infuse it with a whole bunch of oxygen and then put it back in your body at the places where things aren't working. And I haven't totally given up on that, but I was thinking about this idea of oxygen. And I thought, well, maybe I could just breathe. What about breath work? And I was always getting tired. Like this was another clue. It's like part of whatever my thing was being tired in the afternoon, like clockwork. 12 or 1 o'clock, I would just zonk out. I was literally losing 5 or 6 hours a day of my day because I'd be tired again at night to go to bed. And I just couldn't do anything. I was just so lethargic. And I thought, and the thing was, I didn't necessarily know that was what it was about, but I started researching breath work and I found this guy. I'll give him a shout out. It's called Breathe with Sandy. That's why I like YouTube. Like there's all these people just sharing their wisdom and it's just there for you to take and then discerning, because there's a lot of people that do breath work on YouTube. That's the guy I picked. He's the guy that resonated with me. You can find someone that resonates with you, and he had this thing. The first thing I saw was this thing he called Energy Boost. He said, do this when you need energy boost. I said, I need some energy boost. And so, in fact, actually, I looked at him and just, on the surface, he just looked like any old hipster you might find in Bali, which he does spend a lot of time in Bali. And he is a hipster. But the thing is, I almost didn't even listen because I let my prejudice get in the way. I mean, not that I don't like hipsters, but I just, you can get the intonation that I'm looking for the real thing, not some guy, posing. That was a totally, I'm just lucky. I just thought, okay, you got to this channel. Yeah, he looks gorgeous. Just take a chance. Give the guy 5 minutes to prove. It's a 5-minute energy boost. Like, why click off from that? And I did it. And it's like, a lot of you have been doing breath work probably for years. You're just listening to God, Mark, how did you miss that? That's why I'm wondering, how did I miss this? I've done yoga, I've done all these things, and yet I missed this one. But somehow my intuition guided me to that. That's really what we're talking about here in healing, is getting a lot more familiar with your intuition and the beauty of the process. I see healing as a game now, as opposed to some kind of urgent matter, life or death kind of thing. I mean, so anyway, I did my 5 minutes with Sandy, and suddenly my energy just shot through the roof. It was just like, wow, that's it? I just didn't have enough air, and that was why I was tired. And so I decided from there, it's like any time in the afternoon, if I was getting that feeling like I was just going to crash out, that I would just breathe. Do one of his videos. And now I'm a Patreon donor for him because he just produces a lot of value in the world. And also I like watching on Patreon because at least there's no ads there. So, that was another thing that just sort of showed up, followed my intuition. And so where am I now? So now, the walking has become, it's a solid part of my day. I'm not, I think it's the right thing. I haven't missed a day since late August. And I'm out here in the halfway point of my walk today. So my life has to flow around that. And then all my work has been now, how do I keep optimizing? So today I had a great day. I went, if you listen to one of my earlier videos, being able to really take my walking and then hiking to the next level. And by the way, I did a hike yesterday. It was so awesome. And I've done that hike, but this time my balance was so much better because all that walking really, not only did it heal my back, but it's really strengthened every part of my body. I had some kind of kinks in my right hip. Those have gone away. So many aches and pains. Just walking is such a great exercise. I had no idea, because normally we kind of trudge through life, or if we're feeling some kind of pain, then we just sort of suck it up and just keep trudging instead of really looking at that pain. But, with this new level of maybe wisdom I've brought to the practice, it's just fantastic. So now, where am I at? I still have a lot of numbness, but how I feel in the morning, I get up in the morning, I feel much better than normal. By the evening, sometimes in the evening, I feel perfect. So it's there is that potential for me to feel good, just not all day. Now I'm looking at, well, what can I do to extend that? Where, my connection to the ground is good. I'm able to balance on rocks. I'm not falling. I'm able to climb very steep, walking trails, rocky. With a lot of Matt's work, I started doing squats. I can squat all the way down to my heels. It's not good. It's not gorgeous. I'm not, some kind of He-Man. But what Matt was teaching was strength across your entire range of motion. And I really taken that to heart with every part of my body. So now my walking is in a new level. And why am I doing this? Because I love hiking with other people. And there are a lot of hiking groups in this town. And it's beautiful. There's so much nature where I live. It's I didn't want to give up. I didn't want to end up on a couch. So super high priority, organizing my life. So I've had just, today's report, I've had a couple days in a row where I went to bed at 8:30. Today I woke up, I slept about 7.5 hours, got up at 3:30 in the morning, started doing, my morning routine, did a bunch of work, did some body work, and I was out walking by 8. And there's a lot of fun things to do. I don't know how late it is now. I've been out for several hours now. I still got a way to go. So it's a pretty big commitment. When I go home, I've got a lot more work I want to do and a little more body work, and then dinner, and I'll be kind of getting ready for bed. And I'm loving it. So loving your life is a good part, self-love, loving the experience, and just everything I'm teaching is about reorganizing your life around your commitments and bringing that sense of love to that. So yeah, this is a long video. This is a half-hour long video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've wanted to make a video like this for a long time, giving this whole story. It's just a basic thing. You've got an impossible goal. Just start somewhere, and the next step will unfold. And it's one of the most unusual and beautiful things about being a human being. You don't necessarily have to know how to do anything to get it done. And at the same time, I'm here to guide you, whether it's on your, solving your purpose in life, your money problems. And now I feel like I'm healthy enough to help a lot of people. I can't say I'm 100% healthy. I'm not where I want to be, but this process, what I'm sharing, has worked for me. I'm walking every day where a year ago I thought I wasn't going to walk again. And I'm walking a lot, and I'm hiking again. And it's just, I can't explain how much joy I'm getting out of the process now, as opposed to like being so disappointed about what I can't do. I'm just so grateful for each new inch forward of progress. So thanks again, and I will talk to you in the next video.